make smartphone as a joystick. So what we have for joystick, we have buttons, it's ergonomical, it has vibrator, yes. It has display, we can show you a color, and it has wireless connection. What we have is smartphone, we have touch sensor, we have also vibrator on the smartphones. We have screen, we can use it, and we have touch screen. We also have wireless connection, and everyone has it. So actually, no big difference except of ergonomical shape of actual joystick and smartphone, because everyone has. So I think we can use it. Just use it! So what I made this controller. So it's just HTML page that you can access with short URL, /m/number of room, and you can see your color. You can drag with your finger in this move area, and you can fire on the left area. Oh, it's right there. Sorry. So you can move your tank in each direction you want. So it's not just strictly top, left, right, bottom. I added also a QR code where you can read and quickly jump into the game. So you don't need to download anything, just HTML, and it just works, and it's just amazing. Also made a small landing page, but it also needs to be improved. And also I made some 10 rooms for the beginning. So in different, you can run tank in different locations. But mostly I made it for parties, so it's good to play it on party. Just try it on party. You should host your room, and you'll see this green area where you can then you can use QR code to jump into the game, or use short URL. And you can add some bots if you are only 2 guys and you want more fun. What just controller do is just calculating the angle from the coordinates. And one of the cool things I found in JavaScript is that you can lock your screen in a landscape mode, so you don't need to ask users, please put your smartphone horizontally. JavaScript allows you to lock your orientation. As a game engine, I used Phaser, and I started this example. I started to build my game from example from Phaser, so it's WebGL based. It works everywhere. macOS, actually web works everywhere. That's the best part of web and JavaScript. It works everywhere, and HTML works everywhere. Server is built on Node.js. Code is written is CoffeeScript, and I'm dealing with WebSockets through Socket.io. Actually, I started using Node.js about 6 years because they had Socket.io, and you can easily deal with WebSockets with all fallbacks to different transport systems. So how it works? So it's from a phone where I'm sending socket events called moves from fire to a server. So server is just an orchestrator that processes event to our field. After we make some hits, we get the score updated, and it goes back. Event score updated goes back to your smartphone, so you can see what actual score you have. Yes, I love sockets. So it was made just for one day, and it started working like from first day on hackathon, and after I tried to validate the idea on different conferences. So probably next time when you'll see someone is handing his phone horizontally and looking somewhere, take a look around, maybe you'll find a QR code, and maybe they're playing Tankly. Yeah, what's next? I'm going to use also Vibrate API. That's also available from phones, so you can just put milliseconds how long your phone will vibrate. So I'm going to use it when you get in that. You'll get the vibration. Obviously more colors, because usually more than 8 or 10 people are playing. Battle models, and of course there are some bugs. And I'm thinking how I can improve the names of the players. Maybe I can put number of phone as a name. We'll see. So this project is open sourced. Eagle-Eye Tankly. You can play it in your home with your friends at Tankly. I used Phaser engines and Socket.io. This is my coordinates. Thank you. Questions? Yes?
do accept questions, but not many, and no clue for questions.
Did you think about more practical use? It's not like a game, but using the same technology, same architecture for something more like practical use. For business or personal use, whatever. But not for game, but for real stuff.
So I was thinking about making a remote control from a phone, but there are some existing products on the market that can make your smartphone as a remote control for your laptop, for your PC. Also, I had an idea to make a general joystick connector, so you can play all kind of games like Need for Speed or whatever, or GTA from your phone, and you can control your game from phone. Yeah, that's it probably.
Есть open source project, no?
Yes, it's open source, GitHub code, Eagle-Eye Tanker. Feel free to open issues, pull requests.
I have one question. Do you have any kind of anti-cheat system? Limitations?
No. I didn't get into problems to solve them. So problem first, fix after. So there is no problem, no reason for fix.
No one is abusing Tankly. You should definitely do that at your hackathon. Who else? Save suspects.
What special function from the socket.io you used?
So socket.io provides bidirectional connection. So I just used emit and listen. That's it. Check. No, broadcast doesn't work for this because I don't need to broadcast events to all agents. There is no need to know for each phone what are the other actions from other phones. So only our game server needs to know. Only our field needs to know about events from these phones, and exactly score updated is specifically made for one of the smartphones. So there is no reason for broadcasting events.
Does the game have some kind of synchronization between clients?
Only about score and color. So you can, of course, you can see color here, and it matches the color on your phone. And yeah, score and color. That's it for now. And maybe after you get killed, you'll get a vibration on your phone, like a dual shock joystick.
Well, I'm here.
Okay.
There's a stupid question, I guess.
That's okay.
How many players is the maximum? Has the maximum amount in one room?
So there is no specific limit here. On the JS framework days, so usually on conferences, the biggest limitation is Wi-Fi network. And for small conferences, it's enough to use regular Wi-Fi network, but for big conferences like framework days, I succeeded to make this game stable just after I bring my router with two Wi-Fi networks that supports AC and N. As for that setup, everyone joined who wanted, so there is no actual limitation.
So if everyone here will join this game?
Yes, so it's Wi-Fi will broke. So I mean, not Wi-Fi will broke, but the hardest play in this setup would be Wi-Fi. So if we want to make everyone in this game, I should bring my router, and I should run this server locally, and instead of good URL like tank.ly, you'll need to type API address that is harder to type, and also not everyone has this QR reader. That's also kind of a problem. But for big conferences, it's the only way how to handle a lot of clients. So I think at about 30 guys, it's okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you. So what is your decision about CoffeeScript? Why you haven't used like new ECMAScript?
Like this game was written 2 years ago, I think. For that moment, ECMAScript 6 was not so popular, and I like to write as less code as possible. So in CoffeeScript, so why I choose CoffeeScript? Because you don't need to write brackets, round brackets, figure brackets. It's a lot of semicolons and stuff like this. So that's why I decided to use CoffeeScript. Yeah, but from now, like for last year, all my projects are written in
time travel and dev cards, so you can do everything with this library. And you can read a book. Yeah, because everyone should read a book. ClojureScript Unveiled, it's a pretty new book. It's still writing, but like 90% of it is done, and it's very good. I read it and it's good. So yeah, you can go to DevUA Clojure. Someone will probably help you. I don't know. They'll ask it there. You can also go to Clojurians on Slack, and I think it's a better community. There are too much people there. All the time there are some conversations. David Nolan there. Yeah, you should go there. Okay, so that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Roman. Who has questions? Way too many hands. I haven't seen who raised hands first, so will you recall?
Thank you. I have 4 questions.
Can we do it like this? You ask one question, then
Okay.
let others ask.
Okay. First question is, it's not an advertisement, but still, can you tell a couple of words about what kind of projects you are doing, what it's for, what's the business domain of your project?
Yeah, okay.
Just for my understanding.
As I said, we just started to just move into ClojureScript. So we have like one project in the company, and unfortunately I'm not working on it because I'm learning. Yes. But do you want me to tell you about
what is it about? What's
the project?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Okay, so my question is about performance. How ClojureScript is faster than CoffeeScript and others?
No, it's not faster. It's like maybe 2 times slower. Yeah, there is some tests. I don't know. What you mean the ClojureScript, which is like what I showed compiled on the client, or like a standalone project? Oh, a standalone, just JavaScript. Maybe it's a bit slower because of the standard library of ClojureScript, like some functions. Like we have, for example, in JavaScript, we have filter, reduce, map. So you will use this stuff a lot in ClojureScript, and usually these functions are a little bit slower than for loop or something like that. So yeah, it's slower. I did like pet project in ClojureScript, and it's like WebGL playground where you can write WebGL, basically 3GS, in ClojureScript, and then evaluate it and run it, and it's like incredibly slow. So don't use for like high FPS games or something like that.
Hey, so many awesome tools around there about ClojureScript. So, and I know you enjoy the ClojureScript a lot. So my question is, when will you create a bootstrap for this?
What?
Bootstrap.
You mean
Bootstrap to run ClojureScript with all the frameworks, with all set it up, with compilers in there.
Did they do that?
When will you do that?
What?
When will you do this?
Create the boilerplate project or something.
Wait, you mean Bootstrap like Twitter Bootstrap?
No, no, like boilerplate.
Like Yeoman generator.
You mean the boilerplate to compile?
Yeah,
Closure
so
script.
you put all the tools together in one repository and then just do the
You can just go to GitHub and search. There are tons of skeleton projects.
Yeah,
So you don't need another one.
I think it's done using line, so you just say like line your new project and then the name of the template or something.
Yes, exactly.
Next question. In case if you know what other stack of this project, what databases, additional tools?
I don't know nothing about this project, so don't even ask me.
All right.
Question number.
Me first, yeah? All right. She said that this is a dumb question. I shouldn't ask it, but still. Let's say I'm total new and I'm started learning JavaScript probably 2 months ago. Should I get into this, into Closure? I know that this is just like I don't know. It will be really complicated for me, but should I do this or not?
You can try.
Why
not?
Anything else before?
Oh no, I haven't.
No, you haven't.
Yeah.
Wait for 4 more months.
For
half a year. You need a half a year. All right.
All right. I'll try.
Question number 3.
What?
Third question.
Okay.
What are real good things about ClojureScript, real ugly things you find out during this study?
Okay. For me personally, as far as I'm using it half a year, it's the standard library of ClojureScript, because in JavaScript we have a very big problem. There is no standard library, and in ClojureScript you have like tons of good stuff, and you write less and you do a lot more. So that's the biggest point for me.
And what are those issues, biggest issues, most painful issues?
Most painful issues?
Yeah.
For instances. I'm joking.
What's the most coolest feature of ClojureScript that responds to you?
For me, it's like this compiled thing, because you can write in another language and run it in the browser or everywhere. It's not applicable everywhere, but it's cool.
All right, I have one more question. So, what is your main pros and cons? For example, if you're going to sell decision architecture to use ClojureScript.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Okay, so for example, what is your main pros and cons? So you are going to sell an idea to use ClojureScript. This is an architectural decision. So how could you explain this?
I would say that, as I said before, you can write less and do more, but the main thing for me as a developer, because we are developers being told that we need to think about product, but actually we are thinking more about writing code, and we hate projects. So as for me, as for developer, it's completely another way to think, and it's very different, and you can bring some ideas back to JavaScript. But for the product, as far as I know, on the project our team is working on, it's they're doing much faster and they're doing much better.
Okay. Almost still my last question, but still. What must be the biggest motivation for someone to start using ClojureScript? Let's say, why I have to use it, and why I have, in what case I don't have to use it anyway. So, what's your suggestion personally, and maybe of your senior colleagues, like why you actually use ClojureScript, not other stuff or something else? Why it's better? Maybe you made some preparation, and what's your kind of a couple words about it?
The biggest thing, the biggest motivation to use ClojureScript right now is because everyone in JavaScript community is mad of functional programming. So if you are not into functional programming language, you're like, no, you are 100 years in the past. Yeah, but I don't know the best reason, because there is a big bad thing is that there is not that big amount of projects in Clojure, like in JavaScript, but people in our team enjoy it. Because I said it's faster, it's like developing faster, better.
Let's say I came to you, ask to start a new project for me. What do you suggest for me to use JavaScript or something else? Personally?
Personally, use whatever you want. You use what you know. Because
let's say I am a business person. I want you to make me projects.
I will do Javascript because I know JavaScript better.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, have you ever seen the implementation of using the Clojure script with Flux or JS6 with React and JS6? Can we use this in such way, or can we have some problems with this?
Okay. So I haven't seen like classic Flux because it's probably you don't want to do this because it's a lot of the stuff you can just own it in Clojure script. But yes, when you, for example, try OWN or some different thing which works with React, you will probably end up with something like Flux, with like global state. You will use probably CSP channels to communicate between state and components and everything, but you don't have store here. Yeah, but there is no JS6. There is no this kind of sugar. No, for example, JS6 is not from JavaScript, it's just compiled. But in Clojure script, there is some like mini templating things. You can write markup using functions or vectors, which is arrays, something like that. It's maybe sounds terrible, but it's okay. You will get used to it very fast because it's a little different.
Hello. Please tell us a few words about covering your Clojure code by unit tests. What library do you use and what is okay with you? No?
No. You stole my question. I actually was going to ask, does using Clojure script means that I don't have to test my code?
Yeah, that's a good question.
What's your answer?
My answer is I haven't write a single line of text.
Oh no!
So yeah.
All right, and I have a question.
Okay. There's one question also.
Yeah, I saw that, but
Your question.
whatever. Sorry, your question would be the last one. Are you okay with that? Yeah, cool. So you said that at your company you made a decision for all new developers to learn Clojure script before starting any actual projects. So how? No.
We're continuing taking new projects in Java.
But everybody is learning Clojure script. So how do you organize this learning process inside your company? Can you tell a little bit about it?
Yeah. We probably have like 1 or 2 internal workshops or talks, like where we learned how to use build tools, how to write simple applications, how to write not application but websites of different parts. Yes, like 1 or 2 internal workshops, and after that we seen that some people are actually very excited about it, so they're learning by themselves, but other people who like not so don't want to learn or something like that, nobody will force you because developers go mad if you force them, so it's a matter of time.
Hi. I'm interested in debugging. Like, is it hard to debug the code that produces Clojure in developer tools in your browser, or other tools that you debug your code, like
in IE8?
Okay, there's source maps, so you can debug it in DevTools. The thing is, It's even syntax highlighted in DevTools without any plugins, so it's by default you can read everything. But the thing is that it's a little bit you can put breakpoint and it will stop and everything, but it's still a little bit hard because Lisp and like JavaScript, it's very different. You don't have this kind of relation between lines, and sometimes in one line you will have like lots of things that may happen, and you don't do this usually in JavaScript. So yes, it's possible and it's somewhat good, but it's not the ideal process right now.
Okay, we will not accept any more questions, and would rather keep this discussion after the lightning talks because we have some more to do. Right now, after this one, the next lightning talk will be by Alexei Raspopov. He will prepare for the talk.
Another round of applause.
Yeah! And by the way, next week, is it next week or is it this week?
19th of December.
19th, December 19th. Just before the Christmas and before the New Year, you have a chance to go to Chernihiv and attend a React.js workshop by Roman Lyutikov.
Yeah, but don't register all of you because we
have
too many people.
Not too many. So they have like 20, 30
Yes,
spots,
something like that.
something like that. But you still go because it's free.
Yeah, it's free.
Right. So, ты все снял, да?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. You asked so many questions that one mic is almost drained out. So our next speaker is Alexei Raspopov. Alexei Raspopov was supposed to give a full-length talk on something around JavaScript, or maybe about JavaScript even. So, but Alexei is giving lightning talk instead. Who did this?
Sorry.
Don't hijack the conference, please. Выключить Wi-Fi, выключить Wi-Fi. Да. Yay, it works. You are back. Please welcome Alexei.
I hope I won't be so loud. That's fine. My name is Alexei, and you probably know how to pronounce my name. That's how my colleagues from US do it. I was going to make this as real talk, but I got sick a couple of days ago, so that's it. I still will try to speak about this topic. In our company, we have this GIF as an not an explanation, as a request. If someone is trying to explain why he didn't do something or why he didn't finish something, we just posting this GIF and saying something like, don't give me excuses, just give me result. That's why I'm trying to make this lightning talk. I'm a front-end developer, and almost 5 years I'm moving buttons to the left or to the right, and that's why I'm getting money for this. And I'm trying to make some contribution to open source, just trying to make some tools or libraries that I'm actually using in my work. And I work in a company called Data Robot when we are creating really awesome tools for predictive modeling. It's some interesting stuff about machine learning, about statistics, about some cool mathematics stuff. So it's real engineering, not just markup development. And we're working really hard. That's why this thing probably is the reason why I feel exhausted today. So don't try to make it.
Even on weekends?
Yep. So I really love functional programming, but I will not try to convince you today to use only functional programming. But there is just a small punchline that I want to make. So every time on my talks, I'm trying to say that it's not a silver bullet. You don't have the tool that will fix all your problems, not only in programming, but in real life. But talking about functional programming, the things that I believe in, that function is your minigun that is full of silver bullets. That's all. That's all what I want to say about functional programming, but that's not the topic of my talk. Raise your hand if you write non-blocking code, or asynchronous if you like. So it can be not only JavaScript, it can be Python code, maybe PHP, Node.js, and something like this. So probably if you're a Node.js developer, you feel pain because of callback health and something like this. And if you're not writing this asynchronous code, probably you're trying to force the user to wait for something, to wait and watch a frozen screen, or wait for response from the server because your server works with synchronous code, and that's why a lot of users just hate you. So let's talk about all these ideas step by step. At first, ECMAScript 2016 is coming, and raise your hand if you don't use ECMAScript 6 or ECMAScript 2015. Just a couple of hands. That's good. That's really good, because at the end of next year we will feel really old and isolated in the community, because everyone will speak in different language. So talking about ECMAScript 7, let's call it like this, there is a couple of features that marked as stage 3, and probably this is what we will have at the end of next year. And there is just one feature that I will talk about today. It's something somewhere in this list. And talking about stage 3 and probably stage 4, and talking about array prototype includes, it's actually in standard, and probably it will be implemented in browsers soon. So talking about stage 3, it's stage where all features well described and actually have implementations like with polyfills or tools for compilation and something like this. So the idea of stage 3 is to get complete idea, complete well-described standard that probably requires feedback from users. And users in this situation is is all about us. So we have to create feedback. We have to give a feedback about features that probably will be added in the next standard. So today I'm going to give you a feedback about features that I fell in love, and the features that I'm really using in my project, and it's about async and await. Actually, this feature was added in Python a couple of months ago. It was added as a part of core Python, and the funny thing that Python community was inspired by JavaScript community, by that first draft about ECMAScript 6, where we probably was going to add async await. So we definitely have to use it because Python guys really love it, and for their needs it works. It just works. So at the beginning, let's talk about some patterns about approaches that we implicitly use in our code. So we're using them, but we not actually think about them. At the beginning, interactive or pull-based approach is where we call in some function, and the result of this function we save it, for example, in variable, and then step by step we call another functions to get new result. It's called interactive approach, or pull-based, or pulling data from function. And reactive approach, or push-based approach, when we have to create additional function that will receive the result, and then call next step of your calculations of your data processing pipeline. And this pattern called reactive because this function will react on result of this function. So that's the main idea. And it's called push-based because we have to push data inside another subprogram or something like this. So there is just small examples that I will use during this talk. It's just a function, and if you can see, it's blocking code because we don't know what's inside this function. We don't know what's inside this function, but we can be sure that this code will be run step by step, and we will wait for this function. We'll wait for this function, and then we will return the result. So when we will use get company by user, we have to wait while all this calculation step will be finished. And talking about asynchronous approach, talking about reactive approach, we will use, for example, promises, and we'll be sure that the function get company by user will be asynchronous, and it will be non-blocking function. That's really good. But comparing to these approaches, it creates different code, and you will read about this code, you will think about this code in different ways. And talking about callbacks that we used here, that's actually well described code, well formatted code that looks nice, and we actually can deal with it. But if we're talking about callbacks, you should keep in mind this picture about real problem with callbacks and about real code. So just imagine your first day in a new company, and you're really excited about diving into the code, diving into a new project, and after you open code like this, you really dive in this code. Okay, so comparing interactive and reactive approach, there is just two statements that only asynchronous actions require this reactive approach, because we can't actually get result of a synchronous function because the result doesn't exist at this period of time, at this moment of time. And looking at this code, we can see that just because data is coupled, some different, we have to make different requests, have to call different functions with previous result. Reactive pattern increases nesting and it increases complexity of your code. So the idea, what I'm trying to talk about, what if we can make non-blocking code in the same way we are doing blocking code, just synchronous code. It may sound suspicious, but there's just a couple of terms we should learn about before understanding what's async await about. So coroutines it's something like function, something like subprogram of your system that have multiple entry points, and it sounds really creepy. How function has multiple entry points, and you probably will not use this term in discussions with different developers in discussion in your teams, but you should know about generator as a base tool for creating these coroutines, for creating these non-blocking functions that looks like non-blocking functions that look like just simple blocking functions. And talking about generator, raise your hand if you actually know what it's all about, and probably you're using it in your real code. Just a couple of hands. Okay, so generator is just a function, but with small asterisks in the name. And for example, we will create generator for Fibonacci sequence, and our first two numbers in sequences will be just 1 and 1. I hope you familiar with this ECMAScript 6 feature. And the funny thing in generator is that it's a function where we can explicitly write infinite cycles, like while true, and polish it and write it like explicitly without any excuses. So here we will use new keyword yield that will work like return, but differently. After we will invoke this yield, the function will not stop working, and we actually can write some code after this term, and comparing with simple functions with return, it sounds really creepy, because why I will write code after return statement? And funny thing about generators, that this Fibonacci sequence, Fibonacci generator, can be written just in a couple of lines, and probably you will not understand how it works just right now, but it works just awesome. So 2 lines and you have Fibonacci sequence generator. So how can you use it? We will invoke function fib. It's generator, but it's function, and we will get iterator object. It's an object that probably can iterate over sequence, over array, for example, list, or so on. And this object has a method called next that allows you to get the next item in sequence. And you probably don't know, is it infinite sequence or not? You can just call next method, and then you will get result like object with value that is actual value of this particular item in the sequence, and this flag done, which will say if this sequence is finished or not. And talking about Fibonacci sequence that we wrote, it will be really infinite sequence, and step by step you will get next number like 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, and so on. A couple of years ago, before all this ECMAScript 6.5, TJ wrote this library called CO or call or something like this, and this library called because of coroutines And this library was first attempt to use interactive approach for non-blocking code in JavaScript. So it was a time when we had only Harmony flag for Node.js, and we don't have any real tools that we actually can use for working with ECMAScript 6. And if you remember, this our example of blocking code with different get functions, and that's how we can make it asynchronous without any actual effort. We will just use generators. We will use yield keyword for getting a result from these functions, and we will use library CO for making this function as a coroutine, as a function that has multiple entry points, and it will be stateful. So the idea is when you will invoke the get company by user, you will actually work with this function as a simple function, but inside all these calls will be treated as asynchronous. So if get user and get company will return promises, CO will take care of it, and this function will be asynchronous, and it will return promise which will contain this result. So that's the main idea. You still writing interactive code without any callback hell, without any things. This will probably kill you at some point of time. And your code is asynchronous, so it's more effective. Users don't need to wait, and everything is good. Everyone wins. And actually, this code currently is this code will work in browsers without any compilation steps, without any Babel or any other tools. You can just use CO and copy this code, and it will work, for example, in latest Chrome. So say no to callbacks because we have better approach to working with asynchronous code without any pain, without any additional complexity in our code. Actually, don't speak with callbacks because it's not a real thing. So talking about tools and talking about better approach, much better than even using coroutines, using generator for the things that it wasn't created. There is a tool that was created in Facebook called Regenerator, and probably you will not use it like standalone tool. You will use it with Babel, and raise your hand if you're actually using Babel in your work. Just do it. It's the best time to start using Babel because it's a really good tool for that will allow you to work with really new and cool features. ECMAScript 6 by default, some additional features from ECMAScript 7 and something else. And for working with async await, you have to also include Babel runtime package that contains Regenerator. And talking about latest news about Babel, we have Babel 6, but it's broken at some parts. So if you don't want to start hating Babel, you should use version 5.8 point something, 34, I guess. It's stable version. I'm using it in production and it's really good. It works without any problems with backward compatibility like we have in Babel 6, where even type of keyword is broken. I'm not sure why. So let's get back to our example of blocking code, get user, get company, and so on. And by using better approach, by using new approach of working with non-blocking code, this function can be updated in this way, and it will be asynchronous. The result of this function will be promised with this result, and as you can see, you don't do a lot of work for making it asynchronous. You can you need to just add async at the beginning before function keyword, and you should use await keyword for every asynchronous calls in your code, and it just works with awesome. So talking about composition of functions, so here we can see the same simple function without any callbacks, without any additional steps, without closures, and you probably want to use this function as a composition or for composition with another asynchronous functions. So talking about simple composition, it's like you're calling one function with some parameter, and the result of this function you're using as input for another function, and that's how you compose functions. And talking about asynchronous functions, it will look the same, but with two additional keywords. So as you can see, no actually real effort to make it work as non-blocking functions. So just think about it, just try to use it, and there is a couple of things for CO library, generator Bible, and a couple of articles you definitely should read about callbacks and coroutines, about these asynchronous functions, and article from Dr. Excel about what's coming next.
Schumada.
Thanks.
I met him this year, and he told me how to pronounce his
last. So what's coming next in ECMAScript 7? And that's it. Thank you. And there is a link to these slides, so you can click on links and read more about async.
All right. One small remark: the best time to use Babel was about 2 months ago or something.
But we can still use 5.8.
Yeah,
works.
Yep. 6 point whatever you started to work into. So you were the first, I think. Maybe not, but whatever. You start.
Sorry, I'm not familiar with async synthesis before. Can you please go back to the slide? Yes. So should the result of get user with promise?
It can be synchronous function that returns just value, and await will not actually give a shit about result. It will wrap it in promise resolve, and all this construction will be working.
Okay, sounds.
What about tests and performance tests too?
If you're testing functions that returns promises, you will work with this. You will test these functions as the same way, because there is changes only in syntax. These functions will still return promises, and the same tools, the same approaches that you're using for testing function with promises or actually asynchronous functions. All these tools and approaches will work for async.
On last line, on line 6, you can say .then, and it will behave. The whole function behaves like one big promise. So
okay. What about test coverage? Because when we testing with Babel, we cannot test code what running or 6 or 7. We testing only battle results. That's why we have problem with test coverage. Understand what is it coverage, what is not. How you working with this problem?
I will show an example that will actually answer your question. So yeah, here we have asynchronous. It's not asynchronous. What we do? Function A that will await for result from function B and then return a. Okay, so here, as you can see, or no, here, as you can see, the generator doesn't have any callbacks, doesn't have any nested things, and all your function will be treated as this switch case. And as I know, I'm not sure why it's not implemented here. The generator will add comment like Istanbul, don't test this. So all this mess will not be checked with, by Istanbul, so it will not